announcing the arrival of the Honorable Dato' Ahmad Haji Awang Tengah bin Ali Hassan, Deputy Premier of Sarawak, representing Right Honorable Dato' Padigi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari bin Tun Dato' Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak, accompanied by the Honorable Dato' Sri Dr. Ronald Kiandi, Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries. Distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, may we remain standing for our national anthem, Negaraku, along with our state anthem, Ibu Pertiwiku. Guests of honors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and please kindly be seated. The Honorable Dato' Ahmad Haji Awang Tengah bin Ali Hassan, Deputy Premier of Sarawak, representing the Right Honorable Dato' Padigi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari bin Tun Dato' Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. The Honorable Dato' Sri Dr. Ronald Kiandi, Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries. The Honorable Dato' Sri Dr. Stephen Arundi Anautom, Minister for Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, Sarawak. Deputy Ministers for Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, MANRED, Dr. Eduardo Liano, Secretary and Treasurer of the Fish Health Section of the Asian Fisheries Society, FHS-AFS, representing Dr. Agus Sunato, Chairperson of the Fish Health Section of the Asian Fisheries Society. Yang Berusaha Tuan Haji Wan Aznan bin Abdullah, Deputy Director General Management of Fisheries, Malaysia. Heads of departments, distinguished guests and speakers, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the opening ceremony of the 11th Symposium on Diseases in Asian Aquaculture, or DAA 11 2022. For your information, as we are gathered here this morning, we are pleased to announce that after 30 years of the Fish Health Section of the Asian Fisheries Society establishment, DAA 11 is held in Malaysia for the first time today. Now, before we proceed with the rest of the agenda of this opening ceremony, we will have the recital of the Doa led by Ustad Awang Muhammad Safwan.
آمين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا شاكرين حمدا حامدين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويدافع نقامه ويكافئ مزيده يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك الكريم وعظيم سلطانك اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami bersyukur kehadrat-Mu kerana dengan limpah rahmat dan inayah-Mu kami dapat menikmati suasana kehidupan yang penuh kedamaian dan ketenteraman, kebahagiaan dan kemakmuran. Dalam suasana aman bahagia ini, dapat kami menzahirkan kesyukuran ke atas limpah kurniaan-Mu, ya Allah. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, bersempena dengan majlis opening ceremony of the 11th Symposium of Diseases in Asian Aquaculture, ya pada pagi ini, ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, jadikanlah usaha dan ikhtiar kami ini mendatangkan kebaikan dan tingkatkan semangat rajin bekerja di kalangan kami sekalian. Kurniakanlah ketekunan dan kesabaran yang tinggi kepada kami, supaya dapat kami berganding bahu membina gagasan negara, agar terus maju dan mencapai kejayaan yang berterusan. Ya Allah, kami memohon dari sifat ihsan-Mu, kekalkanlah kami dalam nikmat kestabilan, nikmat kesejahteraan dan nikmat keselamatan. Lindungilah kami daripada segala keburukan, keaiban, kemungkaran dan kemaksiatan. Permudahkanlah segala urusan dunia kami dalam menjalankan perancangan dan tanggungjawab kami. Kami memohon keberkatan dan keridaan-Mu, ya Allah. Mudah-mudahan usaha kami ini dapat memberi manfaat kepada kami sekalian. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Dzal Jalali wal Ikram. Akhirnya, ya Allah, jauhilah kami sekalian dari musibah dan malapetaka, perpecahan dan perbalahan dalam kehidupan kami yang berbilang kaum dan agama, bangsa dan budaya. Kekalkanlah persefahaman, persaudaraan dan perpaduan di kalangan kami. Peliharakanlah dan selamatkanlah kami, negeri dan negara kami. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqana min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adzaban nar. Allahumma bika nasta'in wa 'alaika natawakkal wa anta rabbul 'arsyil 'azim. Irhamna ya rabbana fa innaka anta arhamur rahimin. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Taqabbalallahu minkum.
Thank you, Ustad Awang Muhammad Safwan, for the recital of the Doa. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, this year's symposium is themed The Land of Adventure, exploring aquatic animal health for sustainable aquaculture. The Diseases in Asian Aquaculture, or DAA series, is held once in every 3 years by the Fish Health section of the Asian Fisheries Society. The DAA 11th Symposium aims to combine intellectual stimulation while exploring the nature of Sarawak. Now, without further ado, I would like to kindly invite Dr. Eduardo Liano, Secretary and Treasurer of the Fish Health Section of the Asian Fisheries Society, representing Dr. Agus Sunato, Chairperson of the Fish Health Section of the Asian Fisheries Society, FHS AFS, for his introductory remarks.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 11th Symposium of Diseases in Asian Aquaculture in this beautiful city of Kuching here in Sarawak, Malaysia. So I am talking here on behalf of our chairperson, Dr. Agus Sunato from Cairo, Australia, who is still somehow restricted to travel, so he cannot come to join us in person in this very important event. So on his behalf, I will be reading his message to everyone, both here at the venue and to all the participants attending virtually. On behalf of the Fish Health Section of the Asian Fisheries Society, I am pleased to welcome you to the 11th Symposium on Diseases in Asian Aquaculture here in Kuching, Sarawak, Malaysia. The early history of the Fish Health Section is closely linked with the Asian Fish Health Network, which was initiated way back in 1985 with the support from the International Development Research Center, or IDRC, of Canada. In 1989, the network joined the Asian Fisheries Society, and the Fish Health Section was born as a formal section of the AFS. The section's goal is to improve regional knowledge on fish health management and to develop awareness among Asian aquaculturists towards establishing a sustainable aquaculture industry, which we have now achieved here in the Asia-Pacific region. A year after, the Fish Health Section organized the first ever symposium on diseases in Asian aquaculture held in Bali, Indonesia. What started in Bali in 1990 as a humble gathering, DAA has evolved as the biggest fish health event in Asia. Up until DAA 10, again held in Bali in 2017, we managed to hold this symposium every 3 years for a total of 27 years, which was indeed impressive. To celebrate 30 years of the symposium, we brought DAA 11 here in Malaysia, where the Fish Health Section was founded in 1989. DAA 11 was initially planned to take place in 2020, but was postponed today due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And due to travel restrictions associated with the pandemic, DAA 11 was organized as a fully virtual event. And this opening ceremony is being held as a hybrid event, and I would like to thank everybody who are here physically at the venue. DAA 11 attracted around 100 international participants from 22 countries around the world and more than 500 local participants. And we received 141 abstract submissions. With the theme Land of Adventure, Exploring Aquatic Animal Health for Sustainable Aquaculture, this event will cover a wide range of aquatic animal health topics, including biosecurity in aquaculture, epidemiology, detection, prevention, and control of diseases in finfish, crustaceans, and shellfish. There are also sessions dedicated on trends in fish and shrimp health management. And we hope that the scientific program will provide platforms for sharing knowledge, experiences, and most importantly, lessons learned in managing aquatic animal health in the region and beyond. DAA 11 is jointly organized by the Fish Health Section of AFS and the Malaysian government. And on behalf of the section, I would like to sincerely thank the Malaysian government, including the Department of Fisheries Malaysia under the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, the government of Sarawak through the Ministry of Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, and the Marine Fisheries Resources Development and Management Department of the Southeast Asian Fisheries Development Center. We thank them for all their support and contributions to the successful organization of this event. This event will not be possible without the hard work and dedication of DAA National Organizing Committee, wherein the current pandemic made all the works harder and more challenging. It is also my duty to sincerely thank all the sponsors and exhibitors for their support to the event, to the Executive Committee and senior advisors of the Fish Health Section, and the International Scientific Committee for their contribution in the development of a strong scientific program. Last but not least, I would like to sincerely thank the invited speakers and all the presenters for sharing their works here at the DAA 11. I am sure that your talks will stimulate robust discussion and motivate the participants to further strengthen their networking in Asia and beyond. I hope all of you will have a very productive symposium, and I look forward to seeing you all in person at the DAA 12 3 years from now in 2025. With best wishes, Dr. Agus Sonarto, Chairperson of the Fish Health Section, Asian Fisheries Society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Eduardo Liano, Secretary and Treasurer of the Fish Health Section of the Asian Fisheries Society, FHS-AFS, for your introductory remarks. Next, let us welcome the Honorable Dato Sri Dr. Ronald Kiandi, Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries, for his welcoming remarks. Please give a warm welcome.
Thank you. The Honorable Dato' Amar Haji Awang Tengah bin Ali Hassan, Deputy Premier of Sarawak, representing the Premier. Yang Muhammad Dato' Sri Dr. Rundi Utom, Minister for Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, MANRED. Yang Muhammad Dato' Dr. Haji Abdul Rahman bin Haji Ismail, Deputy Minister 1 of MANRED. Yang Muhammad Maklen alias Martin Ben, Deputy Minister 2 of MANRED. Tuan Haji Wan Muhammad Aznan bin Abdullah, Deputy Director General of Fisheries Malaysia. Dr. Eduardo Liano, Secretary and Representative for the Chairpersons of the Fish Health Sections of the Asian Fisheries Society. Distinguished speakers and representatives from various ministries, ladies and gentlemen. Our 11th Symposium on... good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to bid all of you selamat datang or welcome to the opening ceremony of the 11th Symposium on Diseases in ASEAN Aquaculture, or DAA 11, here in Borneo Convention Center, Kuching, Sarawak. I feel honored to be here this morning and be part of this auspicious occasion. The 11th Symposium on Diseases in Asian Aquaculture marks one of the biggest scientific events on research diagnostics, and services of aquatic animal health in Asian aquaculture. On behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industries, or MAFI, we are pleased and proud to co-organize this symposium with the Fish Health Section of the Asian Fisheries Society, the Ministry of Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, MANRED, and the Marine Fisheries Resources Development and Management Department of the Southeast Asian Fisheries Development Center. I would also like to thank the international communities, especially the Fish Health Section of the Asian Fisheries Society, who have been working closely with the National Organizing Committee to make this symposium a successful one. Distinguished guests, the AA Symposium has been held in many countries such as Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, Australia, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, India, and Vietnam. After 30 years, the AA11 is now in Malaysia, where the Fish Health Section of the Asian Fisheries Society was first established in 1990. This symposium will provide an excellent opportunity to refresh and accelerate the role of DAA11 in the management of aquatic animal health in supporting the development of regional and international aquaculture sectors. With the DAA11, we hope to provide the participants with the latest information on technologies and innovations in disease prevention, management and control in aquaculture industries through virtual presentations, exhibitions, information sharing platform, and virtual forums. Ladies and gentlemen, the Department of Fisheries Malaysia has played a major role in making sure that the country's aquatic resources are of good quality and safe for nation and international market through official control, analysis, and guarantee conducted at the primary productions of the supply chain, such as in aquaculture farms, fishing vessels, and fish meal manufacturing plants. The OF has also assisted the country in protecting the aquatic biodiversity resources through various strategies, such as the ecosystem approach to fisheries management, or EAFM, and the ecosystem approach to aquaculture, EAA, in order to protect the sustainability of our aquatic ecosystem. Various policies, legislation, strategies, and action plans that emphasizes on holistic approach to aquatic animal health management are in place. To name a few, we have the National Agro-Food Policy, or DAN 2.0, the Biodiversity Policy, Strategic Plan of Department of Fisheries Malaysia, and the National Aquatic Animal Health Strategy, and many more. Besides that, DOF, through the Fisheries Research Institute and its 10 research centers throughout Malaysia, has carried out strategic researches covering a wide range of areas, such as the status of the country's natural aquatic resources, the impact on the aquatic resources, the aquatic animal health status in Malaysia, and disease preventions. MAFI and its various agencies and departments will continue to engage with relevant stakeholders such as universities, research institutions, industry players, especially from the aquaculture industry, as we work together towards improving the aquatic animal health management in our region. I truly appreciate and thank our collaborators and sponsors for their technical and financial support that have been crucial to the success of this DAA11. My sincere appreciation also goes out to all the local and international experts and researchers who will be participating in the DAA11 Symposium for their roles in sharing vital and beneficial scientific information as well as valuable experiences on aquatic animal diseases and prevention strategies. I hope everyone will use this opportunity to enhance and build their capacity towards sustainable, stable, and competitive aquaculture industries for food security and aquatic ecosystem sustainability. I would like to welcome everyone once again and express my utmost gratitude for your excellent work and contribution throughout the 11th Symposium on Diseases in ASEAN Aquaculture, DA11. I wish you all a successful symposium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, the Honorable Dato Sri Dr. Ronald Kiandi, Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries, for your welcoming remarks. For the opening address and official launching, please give a warm welcome to the Honorable Dato Amar Haji Awang Tengah bin Ali Hassan, Deputy Premier of Sarawak, representing the Right Honorable Dato Pendigi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari bin Tun Dato Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak, to be on stage for the opening address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all of you. The Honorable Dato Sri Dr. Roland Kande, Minister of Agriculture and Food Industry Malaysia, the Honorable Dato Sri Dr. Stephen Rundi, Minister for Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, Sarawak, Yang Berhormat Datuk Dr. Haji Abdul Rahman Ismail, Yang Berhormat Martin Ben, the Deputy Ministers for Ministry of Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, Sarawak, Wan Muhammad Azman, Deputy Director General of Fisheries Malaysia, Dr. Idiado, Secretary and Representative for the Chairpersons of the Fish Health Section of the ASEAN Fisheries Society. Ladies and gentlemen, pertamanya saya ingin mengucapkan selamat datang. Welcome to Sarawak. Selamat datang ngagai menua Sarawak in Iban. On behalf of the Right Honorable Premier of Sarawak, who is not able to join you in this symposium, I'm really very pleased to be part of this symposium, attended by more than 300 participants physically. And there are also quite a number of participants joining this conference, this symposium, virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected everybody all countries, all over the globe, swiftly affected the healthcare system, livelihood of the people, and plunged the global economy into recession. We know Sarawak said the same experience. While we regret that the COVID-19 pandemic prevented us from holding the full symposium in Kuching, we are excited that today we have the opportunity to organize this innovative symposium, hybrid symposium, with the combinations of the physical attendance of the participants, as well as virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, the 11th DAA Symposium marked the start of new approaches and strategies, where the current pandemics have reminded us that our health, animal health, and the environments are intrinsically interconnected. Such interlinkages highlighted the urgent need to increase collaboration at the national, regional, and global level to address the issues on disease transmission in aquatic ecosystems, zoonotic diseases, as well as aquatic animal welfare, and that promoting integrated and system-based approach based on One Health concept. Sarawak is embarking on a full-fledged transformations and capitalizing on megatrends around the world. Our focus is on restructuring and diversifying the economy into high-value downstream industry. Against all these challenging backdrops, Sarawak government is glad to formulate and is now implementing the post-COVID-19 development strategy, PCDS 2030. The plan is to address reforms of Sarawak's economy as Sarawak move towards a high-income and developed state by the year 2030. Our top priority is to build both physical and digital infrastructure to increase efficiency and link Sarawak to global market. This will become the platform for Sarawak's economy to grow in the coming years and create a thriving society that enjoys economic prosperity, social inclusivity, and sustainable environment. The PCDS 2030 has established tremendous importance on the potentials of aquaculture industry. With more than 1,000-kilometer long coastline and a huge inland water bodies covering an area of 150,000 hectares. Sarawak has the potential in aquaculture to generate export earnings. And moving forward, our immediate initiative is to develop commercial aquaculture through the establishments of aquaculture industrial zone. For this reason, I cannot overemphasize the need for Sarawak to be part of the regional network of information sharing on diseases in aquaculture to protect the state's aquaculture industry. Over the years, food insecurity has been a rising concern worldwide. The current Russia-Ukraine war has made the situation worse, with high food prices, supply chain disruption. The changes, drastic changes to the geopolitics all over the world has impacted the livelihood. The supply chains has been disrupted. This led to the high inflation and certainly affecting the livelihood of our people. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarawak, with the comparative advantage of a huge land and water resources, is committed to increase and improve the scale of food production for commercialization and export, which not only covers agriculture crops and livestock, but also the fishery sector. With global fish consumption fast growing, aquaculture is now the fastest growing food production sector in the world, and Asia has been the main aquaculture producer, contributing 92% to the total world aquaculture products. Look at China and other countries. Aquaculture sector is well developed. In our country, that we should aspire to develop all this potential. Not only to meet the domestic consumption, but also for export purposes. That being said, and like other animal husbandry system, disease is a major constraint to the production system that must be addressed. Furthermore, for aquatic animals, including fish, shrimps, and others, things get more complicated, because there are over 500 such species that are farmed commercially worldwide. Fish is the most traded food commodity in the international trade, with an export value of nearly USD 150 billion, according to the Food and Agriculture Organizations of the United Nations, FAO. Ladies and gentlemen, the globalization of aquatic animal products and the rise of aquaculture as the main supplier of the world's aquatic food supply have driven effort to breed new aquatic species. The movement of aquatic organisms to new countries and continents, and a general trend towards the intensifications of production methods and industrialization of this sector. And not forgetting the ornamental fish industry. It is a large industry and growing rapidly, with an estimated trade value of more than USD 10 billion, involving more than 2,500 species. While this has created new market opportunities for farm aquatic animals, whether for food or ornamental fish, it also facilitated the spread of pathogens and their diseases. For example, mass mortality of cage farm tilapia was reported in July 2017 due to tilapia lake virus, TILV, in Batang-ai Aquaculture Industry Zone, somewhere in Sri Aman, in Sarawak. This prompted the Department of Agriculture Sarawak to swiftly collaborate and to link up with the Departments of Fisheries Malaysia and Natural Fish Health to monitor and contain the outbreak with appropriate measures. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sarawak government, through the Sarawak Research and Development Council, SRDC, is collaborating with two internationally renowned infectious disease research centers on setting up the Sarawak Infectious Diseases Center, IDC, in Kota Semerahan. SCDC is a research facility to ensure that Sarawak has the capacity and the capability to respond to any outbreak, including in the fishery sector. Additionally, the One Health approach aims to sustainably balance and optimize the health of humans, animal, ecosystems, and the wider environment. It mobilizes various sectors, disciplines, and communities together to foster well-being and address threats to health and ecosystem. Integrating both the blue economy concept and the One Health approach, we hope to build a strong, resilient, and sustainable aquaculture system, safeguarding food security and safety for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, the DAA 11 offers 4 days of information sharing, intellectual discussion, and networking opportunities with strategic virtual exhibitions, including trade display covering various topics on aquatic animal health management, developments, and innovations. I'm delighted to see this symposium has attracted worldwide participation with a wide range of topics being presented by internationally recognized experts and researchers from all over Asia-Pacific region and around the world. I believe the symposium provides an excellent platform for international partners to establish and enhance research collaboration, as well as market opportunities for aquatic products and aquaculture technologies. The promotions of aquatic animal health management is not just for specialists and scientists, but to everyone in the community, including farmers with first-hand experience, aquatic resource managers, academicians, educators, students, fishery industries, and the general public at large. I hope everyone will use these opportunities to enhance and build their capacity towards sustainable, stable, and competitive aquaculture industries for food security and protections of the aquatic ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very confident that this symposium will inspire the world with a perspective of hope on research, diagnostic, and services of aquatic animal health in ASEAN aquaculture. With that, I now declare the 11th Symposium on Diseases in ASEAN Aquaculture, DAA 11, officially open. Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Dato' Ahmad Haji Awang Tengah bin Ali Hassan for the opening address. However, we would like to invite Dato' Ahmad to kindly remain on stage for the launching symbolic of today's event. With that, I will also like to invite the Honorable Dato Sri Dr. Ronald Kiandi, Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries, the Honorable Dato Sri Dr. Stephen Rundi Ana Utom, Minister for Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, Sarawak, Mandred, Deputy Ministers for Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, Mandred, Dr. Eduardo Liano, Secretary and Treasurer of FHS AFS, and Yang Berusaha Tuan Haji Wan Azlan bin Abdullah, Deputy Director General Management of Fisheries, Malaysia. To signify the launch, may we invite the Honorable Dato' Amar Haji Awang Tengah bin Ali Hassan, Deputy Premier of Sarawak, to touch the panel ahead to commemorate the opening ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to bring you the Malaysian Fisheries Journal MFJ special issue devoted to the 11th Symposium on Diseases in Asian Aquaculture DAA 11, commemorating the unique DAA 11, which is held for the first time after a 5-year gap and as a virtual event. For that, we welcome everyone to explore the digital copy of the special issue, which is available to public at Department of Fisheries Malaysia website and AFS FHS website. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the video montage which signifies the objective of the symposium today. Was the video montage signifying the objective of this memorable ceremony for today, DAA 11. Please put your hands together for this symbolic. What a remarkable moment to signify disseminating technical knowledge while exploring the nature of Sarawak. Now I would like to invite Dato Sri Dr. Ronald Kiandi, Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries, to give a token of appreciation to the Honorable Dato Amar Haji Awang Tengah bin Ali Hassan, Deputy Premier of Sarawak, and all other honorable guests to remain on stage. Kindly invite the Honorable Dato Amar Haji Awang Tengah Ali Hassan, Deputy Premier of Sarawak, Dato Sri Dr. Ronald Kiandi, Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries, and all guests of honor on stage to kindly be back to their seats to enjoy the rest of the ceremony. And that, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, was the launching Symbolic. What a fantastic Symbolic for the opening ceremony of DAA, with this year's theme, The Land of Adventure, exploring aquatic animal health for sustainable aquaculture. Now I would like to kindly invite Dr. Melba B. Rentaso, Team Leader of Food Safety, Nutrition and Health, Fisheries and Aquaculture Division, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, who will be joining us virtually for today for her keynote address entitled Drivers and Pathways of Diseases Emergence in Aquaculture.
Good day, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers of DAA 11 for your kind invitation for me to participate in this important hybrid event. The Honorable Dr. Ronald Clandy, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries, the Honorable Dr. Patinggi Tansri, the Premier of Sarawak, the Chairperson, Exicom, and members of the official section of the Asian Fisheries Society, DAA 11 attendees, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity that you have given me to talk about drivers and pathways to disease emergence in aquaculture and possible solutions. With the growth of the aquaculture industry and its increasing importance to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, issues of diseases of aquatic organisms need to be addressed by improving how we monitor and manage them. Health management, in its broadest sense, encompasses the reduction of the risk of disease spread through movement of live aquatic animals, the reduction of risks arising from the potential entry, establishment, or spread of pathogens and the diseases they cause. It also encompasses pre-border, border, and post-border activities in aquaculture, the implementation of required effective national and regional policies and regulatory frameworks, and the relevant national and regional capacity building requirements for addressing health management activities. Diseases in aquaculture are complex and they are difficult to identify and track in the aquatic environment. Key factors include the presence of the pathogen in both aquatic organism and the water source, the viable pathogen in the environment, presence of a susceptible host, and a viable infection route. In order to understand the emergence of diseases in aquaculture, we try to analyze the various factors, drivers, and pathways that contribute to the introduction and spread of diseases in aquaculture. There are many, and we try to categorize them into four: trade in aquatic organisms, knowledge of pathogens and their hosts, aquatic health management and disease control, and ecosystem change. Aquatic organisms are highly traded commodities where 70% are exposed to international trade. Invasive animals and pathogens can also be traded with the primary host. In terms of knowledge of pathogens and their hosts, aquatic organisms live in a unique aquatic medium. For unknown diseases and even for known diseases, there are still significant knowledge gaps regarding transmission, immunity, genetics. Diagnostics are focused on known or listed diseases. Breeding strategies are not in place for many species, and there are limited availability of efficacious and affordable vaccines. There are multiple institutions involved in aquatic health management, and there appears to be inadequate or poorly implemented biosecurity measures and low capacity for emergencies. There's also perceived low incentive to report on known and emergent diseases, and in addition, weak regulatory framework and public-private sector partnership. In terms of ecosystem change, the physical-chemical conditions in aquaculture are often suboptimal for the host. Aquatic hosts are cold-blooded and thus highly responsive to stressors. The aquatic medium is pathogen-rich. Diversity changes with environmental conditions, and pathogens evolve and spill over and spill back relative to wild populations. If we look at the chronology of disease emergence in aquaculture, this is how it looks like. In the 1970s, there were a few diseases of parasitic, fungal, and viral origin affecting salmon, shrimp, tilapia, and many finfish species in the case of EUS. Going into the 1980s, the number of shrimp pathogens, mostly viral, increased with a bacterial pathogen. We also saw the emergence of infectious salmon anemia and sea lice. Going into the 1990s, few more viral diseases of shrimp in the sector suffered from vibriosis, and we saw the emergence of KHB. In 2000 and onwards, more shrimp viral diseases appeared, and previously unknown diseases such as AHPND, TILV of tilapia, VNN of marine fish, and EHP, which is a shrimp parasite. The global trend in aquaculture is that serious diseases emerge, spread rapidly, and cause major production losses approximately every 3 to 5 years. There is often a long time lapse, typically years, from the time that a serious mortality event caused by an unknown and emerging pathogens observed in the field to its subsequent identification and confirmation, to global awareness, to the establishment and implementation of surveillance and reporting systems, and implementation of cost-effective risk management measures. This is one example, that of EUS, a fungal disease affecting many finfish species. It was first observed in the 1970s, the causative agent confirmed only in the 1980s. Here's a closer look at the timeline of the spread of EUS around the world from when it was first identified in Japan and northern Australia to more recent cases in Malawi in Africa. A second example is white spot disease of shrimp, which is probably the most serious disease of shrimp. Same scenario when it was first observed in the field in the 1980s, diagnosed in mid-1990s, and listed in 1997. You will see here the global distribution of white spot. The data shows the year of first report from almost 39 countries. A third example, AHPND, previously known as CMS, same story. AHPND is probably the most significant non-viral disease of shrimp. This shows the global distribution of AHPND since it was first detected in 2010, and the latest being in Okinawa, Japan, 10 years later. Next example is TILV, similar trend in the sense of being diagnosed a few years from its first observation in the field to becoming a listed disease. This is now the global distribution of TILV from its first observation in Israel and how quickly it spread to different countries and continents. TILV is still a controversial disease as some countries have not accepted its presence, even though they are published information as well as industry information. What I'm showing you here is an aquatic animal disease emergence causal web. This causal web organizes these drivers and pathways into upstream and downstream effects of disease emergence. Because the factors leading to exotic and endemic disease emergence are quite different, this scheme organizes emerging diseases into exotic and endemic to provide better understanding. You will see here that for exotic diseases, the exposure pathways include trade, newly emerging pathogen, husbandry practices such as use of live feed, and pathogens from wild populations. Now, if we look at the stress-related factors that increases the impact of endemic diseases, this may include changes in management practices such as intensification and diversification, soil and water chemistry, species farmed outside the native optimal range, species are selected for growth rather than disease resistance, climate change, and other sources of stress that increase pathogen virulence. Disease emergence, whether they are exotic or endemic, is affected by aspects related to detection and effective response. These aspects include surveillance capacity, availability of diagnostics, institutional coordination, research infrastructure, level of biosecurity, and available options for control. All of these combined will determine the consequence of disease emergence. After looking at this, is there something that we can do? These occurring diseases harm the aquaculture industry. Production and market losses are incurred, affecting livelihoods, export earnings, and food supply. The cost would have been much less if efforts were focused on prevention compared to the cost for biosecurity measures, compensation, and other alternatives. This brings us now to the importance of aquaculture health economics. Disease challenges must be properly handled for the aquaculture industry to be truly sustainable. The number of disease outbreaks, responses, and economic losses reflect the immaturity of the aquaculture industry and the current gaps in governance. Estimates of economic losses due to diseases in aquaculture exist, but due to a lack of systematic methods for assessing their impacts, they are difficult to validate. You will see here some figures available in the literature. A systematic way of assessing the economic and social impacts of aquatic diseases allows us to understand the context and gain a better picture of the complex adverse impacts and economic consequences, and this will allow, in turn, decision makers at policy, production, service provider levels to make evidence based and informed decisions for more effective resource allocation and for creating an environment for increased investment opportunities. With the growth of the aquaculture industry and its increasing importance to achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals, issues of diseases of aquatic organisms need to be addressed by improving how we monitor and manage them. The progressive management pathway for improving aquaculture biosecurity, or PMPAB, is a new initiative that FAO and partners are promoting. It is an extension of FAO's progressive control pathways approach, which has been internationally adopted to assist countries develop risk mitigation strategies that reduce or prevent losses from major livestock diseases. Whereas most PCPs focus on control of specific diseases, the PMPAB focuses on diseases faced by aquaculture at the commodity and enterprise levels. It has 4 stages and follows the principles of being risk-based, collaborative, and progressive, with a good understanding of the epidemiological triad, showing the relationship between the pathogen and the susceptible aquatic population in a suitable environment that allows the transmission of the pathogen and development of the disease in the population. PMP-AB refers to a pathway aimed at enhancing aquaculture biosecurity capacity by building on existing frameworks, capacity, and appropriate tools using risk-based approaches and public-private sector partnership. You will see here the 4 stages. And stage 1, biosecurity strategy or risk is defined. Stage 2, biosecurity systems implemented. Stage 3, enhanced biosecurity and preparedness. Stage 4, sustainable biosecurity and health management systems are established to support national aquaculture sector. As countries and aquaculture enterprises advance along the pathway, the following outcomes are expected: reduce disease burden, improve health at farm and national levels, minimize global spread of diseases, optimize socio-economic benefits from aquaculture, attract investment opportunities into aquaculture, and achieve One Health goals. In the context of PMP, aquaculture biosecurity refers to the cost-effective management of risks posed by infectious agents to aquaculture through a strategic approach at enterprise, national, and international levels with shared public and private responsibilities. Stages 1 to 3 of the PMP has key indicators and activities, and I'm just showing you here an example for stage 1. These include stakeholder mapping, conduct of risk analysis where threats and critical points are identified, enabling environment put in place, and this may include identification of the competent authority, drafting of an aquatic pathogen list, formation of a public-private sector PMP-AB task force, review of legislation, aquatic health training, and identification of a national laboratory. This shows an example of a flow chart for stage 1 completion divided into 4 categories, namely aquatic health service, sectors and stakeholders, surveillance, monitoring and diagnostics, and management and evaluation. There are indicative activities for each of the category, as you can see from this slide. Each stage also has key outcomes, and again, this is an example for stage 1. In order to reach stage 4, which is sustainable biosecurity and health management systems established to support national aquaculture sector, it is important that activities from stages 1 and 3 are continuously sustained, monitored, and improved. As in any new framework, supporting tools are necessary. However, please remember that PMPAB builds on what is existing, including tools to support its implementation. You will find here a list of existing tools, to name a few. For example, assessment tools such as that of the FAO Self-Assessment Survey to evaluate capacity and performance on health management and biosecurity, the OIEPVS aquatics. There are also guidance documents in developing a national strategy on aquatic organism health and developing a national aquatic pathogen list, risk assessment combined with value chain analysis, design of an active surveillance. There are protocols for disease outbreak or aquatic mass mortality events, investigation, and diagnostics. Another relevant guidance is the 10-point best biosecurity practices to reduce risk and prevent AMR. Under the water health management and implementing biosecurity measures should take into account the following. Have a biosecurity plan, understand the hazards, identify the risks and risk pathways at critical points in the value chain, manage the risks through a combination of good aquaculture and effective biosecurity practices. Some important considerations are know your aquatic species, know your pathogens, know your systems, know your contamination pathways, source healthy seeds, maintain good environment, use antimicrobials prudently, respect food safety, and maintain good husbandry. There are also alternatives to antimicrobials that could be explored. These include vaccines, bacteriophages, quorum quenching, medicinal plants, bacteriocins, and others. More recently, SPF stocks have provided a means for the safe introduction of Penaeus vanomeae around the world, which is now the species of choice and the dominant species in shrimp farming. SPF is now part of a biosecurity strategy to prevent the introduction into the system of infected animals. This slide shows all the essential elements of any aquatic animal health protection program. They are all shown here, and this was developed by FAO back in the year 2000 during a regional project for 21 countries in Asia. National strategic planning on aquatic health management and biosecurity is vital to reduce the vulnerability in the aquatic sector to new and emerging diseases and the often ad hoc and reactive solutions to serious transboundary aquatic diseases and mass mortality events in aquatic populations. FAO has long encouraged member countries to develop and formalize such national strategies. They are a broad yet comprehensive strategy to build and enhance capacity for the management of biosecurity and aquatic health. The development of the national strategy is a first step in the process and a requirement in the PMP-AB approach. Here are some examples of countries that have national strategies, and these are examples of regions and sub-regions that have aquatic biosecurity strategies. What you can see here are the 4 scenarios which gives any country at any stage of aquaculture development or whatever competence they have an entry point to PMP. For example, scenario 1, these are countries with no aquaculture biosecurity strategy, but with aquaculture or starting with aquaculture. Scenario 2, these are countries with existing strategies, some level of implementation. How can this be used, built on, revised, and expanded to fit the context of PMPAB? Scenario 3, These are countries with advanced biosecurity strategies, what bottlenecks, lessons, and good practices can be used and updated to fit the context of PNPAB. And scenario 4 are countries whose aquaculture biosecurity is dependent on the biosecurity situation in neighboring countries due to shared water bodies, watersheds, or coastlines, and where a regional or sub-regional aquaculture biosecurity strategy is needed or already exists. What I would like to emphasize in the next few slides is that there are two important elements that are present in all stages of the PNPAB. These are risk assessment and emergency preparedness. So let us look at risk analysis first. The general framework for risk analysis developed by OIE typically consists of four major components: hazard identification, risk assessment, risk management, and risk communication. This tool can be combined with value chain analysis to identify and prioritize the points along the value chain and the major pathways of spread that may pose the greatest risk for disease transmission prior to implementing control measures. Value chain analysis includes an overall description of the activities, processes, or movements involving a commodity, the geographic locations in the country where this occurs, and stakeholders involved. Risk pathways around points in the value chain with the highest levels of risk should be prioritized. Critical control points are points in the risk pathway where biosecurity efforts can be focused to reduce or eliminate the risk of disease introduction and spread. It's important that biosecurity measures are selected based on their effectiveness in mitigating the risks and then prioritized based on their practicality and costs. The control of diseases in the aquaculture sector requires a multifaceted approach, and this often involves a combination of several risk mitigation measures at multiple points along the value chain, since one control measure may not be 100% effective. Risk management should aim to reduce the number of steps within the value chain, if at all possible, to limit the opportunities for disease introduction and spread between points. This can be difficult with smallholders that may have long or diverse value chain. Newly implemented biosecurity measures should be chosen based on their effectiveness, feasibility, cost benefits, and sustainability. Key stakeholders should be involved in the value chain analysis and risk analysis processes and development of biosecurity strategies from start to finish. The other important element is the emergency preparedness. Emergency preparedness is the ability to respond effectively and in a timely fashion to disease emergencies. It is also the capability to deal with emergency disease situation that requires a great deal of planning and coordination, including establishing operational, financial, and legislative mechanisms and making available the required resources such as skilled personnel, essential equipment, and advanced emergency fund. Contingency planning and emergency preparedness require advanced documentation, which we call as disease strategy manuals. FAO have such manuals for IMNV, AHPND, TILV, and we are finalizing three more on EUS, WSSV, and PIV1. If you look at the contents of the strategy manual, it uses a template based on the Asia guidelines on emergency preparedness. They are divided into several chapters, such as the nature of the disease, diagnosis, prevention and treatment, epidemiology, control and eradication, and policy. So these are some of my key messages. The effectiveness of biosecurity measures are validated by practitioners and the industry. Science is explained by the academe. Governance authorities facilitates and disseminates and provide an enabling environment. A holistic approach is needed not only at the farm facility, but also looking at the whole value chain from seed source to market, because each segment has some risk element. The risk-based thinking is needed and should be an everyday practice. Aquaculture solutions is very dependent on local conditions. The PMPAB offers a big picture and farm-level perspectives and uses risk-based thinking and collaborative approach among governance authorities, industry, and academia. PMP works for moving countries forward in a guidance context. Each stage provides a tangible benefit to stakeholders, and it will be part of the work within each stage to demonstrate, communicate, and advocate for activities that solve challenges inherent in retaining commitment. Stages can be considered as an elevator where you get on at your floor and stop at the floor, which has the needs for your aquaculture industry. But everyone is in the same biosecure building, which help global communication and share experiences as everyone's aquaculture biosecurity progresses. Biosecurity progress at all levels is a good news story. Disease prevention is an aquaculture strength that benefits the sector itself, wild resources, and the environment. Co-management approach, greater use of planning processes that brings stakeholders together is one of the benefit of PMPAB. It provides a solid platform for public-private sector partnership as PMPAB implementation plans should be developed between industry stakeholders and governance authorities to ensure buy-in best fit for country, but a template that provides a degree of consistency between participating countries or region. It promotes risk ownership, active engagement, and long-term commitment to risk management. It also helps in making governance mechanisms and, as mentioned earlier, a range of toolkits available to support its implementation. It helps in targeting the specific entry points for any country. It gives an opportunity for longevity sufficiently responsive to environmental and anthropological challenges, enabling policy environments and adoption of sound aquaculture production practices. Before I end my presentation, I would just like to share our work at FAO for those who may not be familiar with it. FAO is a specialized technical organization of the United Nations. FAO's strategic framework revolves around what we call as four betters: better production, better nutrition, better life, and better environment. The Fisheries and Aquaculture Division has three thematic areas such as sustainable fisheries, sustainable aquaculture, and sustainable trade and value chain. My team is responsible for food safety, nutrition and health, and biosecurity, and we are under the third thematic area. FAO's work are also anchored in what we call as priority program areas or PPAs, and my team's work is very relevant to PPAs on One Health and biosecurity, safe food, and climate change. I'd like to apologize for not being able to attend physically. It is DAA 11 due to some health and flight reasons. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
And that was the keynote address by Dr. Melba B. Rentaso on drivers and pathways of diseases emergence in aquaculture, who managed to deliver her informative segment, albeit virtually, today. Next, I would like to kindly invite the Honorable Dato' Ahmad Haji Awang Tengah bin Ali Hassan, Deputy Premier of Sarawak, the Honorable Dato' Sri Dr. Ronald Kiandi, Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries, the Honorable Dato' Sri Dr. Stephen Rundi Anak Utom, Minister for Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development Sarawak, Deputy Ministers for Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, Dr. Eduardo Liano, Secretary and Treasurer of FHS, AFS, and Yang Berusaha Tuan Haji Wan Aznan bin Abdullah, Deputy Director General Management of Fisheries Malaysia, to the holding room to proceed for the press conference. before we head on for the tea break for our guests and Farmers' Day participants, members of the media can kindly proceed for the press conference while distinguished guests in the hall are welcome for a tour of the exhibition before enjoying refreshments and lunch. On behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industries, Ministry of Agriculture and Regional Development, MANRED, Department of Fisheries Malaysia, DOF, Department of Agriculture, DOA, and Asian Fisheries Society, we would like to convey special thanks in conjunction with the 11th Symposium on Diseases in Asian Aquaculture, DAA 11 2022. I'm Cheryl Shaminato, your host for today, and it is an honor to have you all to commemorate this ceremony. Take care and stay safe.